Kylian!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, the tussle of the modern-day sports person. What is it like being stuck between two sides that want you? One for the money and the other for national duty. Seems to be the theme of the show today. In one story, we ask, is the Indian Premier League one of the most lucrative leagues in the world, a platform, an event that is even bigger than a World Cup? What is gaining more prominence in the world of cricket today? In another story, we look at the dilemma that Kylian Mbappe finds himself in, a player torn between his dreams and a big, fat paycheck. Reports say Real Madrid has refused to let Mbappe feature in the Olympics. What is the backlash that we can expect? And is this fair game? All is fair in war and jibes. That's what Magnus Carlsen truly believes. After terming Ding Liren, the world champion, broken, Liren retorts saying, "I'm fixing myself." But how ready and prepared is he ahead of facing India's candidates champion winner, Gukesh? And sports is a great leveler. Ask USA cricket team that has stunned the world by beating Bangladesh and clinching the T20 series ahead of the T20 World Cup. Is that how the World Cup is going to pan out as well? I'll tell you more as the show goes on, but first, a look at the headlines in Sports 360. Starting with football, Barcelona have sacked head coach Javi Hernandez after a trophy-less season. Javi has been at the helm for 3 years now. Javi will take charge of the team's final La Liga match, that's the Sunday at Sevilla, before leaving. According to reports, former Germany and Bayern Munich manager Hansi Flick will replace him. Over in cricket, India's cricket board, or the BCCI, has denied approaching former Australian cricketers for the head coach role. This comes a day after Ricky Ponting said that the board officials had wanted him to take up the top job, but he declined. Justin Langer, his former teammate as well, who's the coach of the Lucknow IPL franchise, made a similar claim. While BCCI chief selector Jay Shah didn't take any names, though, he said any such information reported was completely false. Sri Lankan cricket officials have said the country's T20 league will go ahead despite the arrest of a team's British owner over match-fixing allegations. Tamim Rahman, owner of the Dambulla Thunders, was taken into custody earlier this week. Tournament organizers have said that new owners will come in to take charge of the team. France's top goal scorer Olivier Giroud has hinted that he might not play after next month's European Championship. Giroud has made 131 appearances for France and was a key part of its World Cup winning squad in 2018. During an interview, he said, and I quote, "This will be my last competition with Le Bleu." And tennis ace Rafael Nadal has been handed a tough draw for his opening round at the French Open that's going to start in a while from now. He's set to face fourth seed Alexander Zverev of Germany. Zverev enters the tournament in red-hot form, having won the Italian Open just recently. Nadal, in fact, made his comeback to the circuit this year after a year-long layoff due to a hip surgery. Is the IPL, the Indian Premier League, bigger than any cricket event in the world? That's the question. The league that India curated and launched in 2008, nearly 17 years ago, has become one of the most lucrative leagues across the world. The biggest names in this sport come over to be a part of this. It's one of the biggest money-spending cricket events the world over. So is this even bigger than the T20 World Cup that's around the corner and coming up next month? Let me give you some numbers first. We look at the richest leagues in the world. NFL, the National Football League, it's number one, according to a report that just released a few months earlier this year. No surprises there. Taylor Swift and Kelsey saga was another added push and a fillip to an already cash-rich, eyeball-grabbing league. They have an $18.6 billion revenue. Number two is NBA. Again, no surprises. National Basketball Association consumed massively and a revenue generator of $10.58 billion. Baseball, but of course, Major League Baseball boasts of a revenue of $10.32 billion. These three are leagues that have at least 30 teams contesting in each of them, coming in fourth, ahead of leagues like the EPL or the English Premier League, UEFA or the Champions League, the Bundesliga, Major League Soccer, to name a few top leagues in the world, is the Indian Premier League. Just 10 teams, but a revenue of $8.4 billion. It's a huge money spinner, we got to admit. And it only promises to get bigger, get more teams involved, make it a proper window in the cricket calendar. Now, what do I mean by that? Cricket has been played one way over the ages. You've got the bilateral series, teams touring, the home and away fixtures and series and face-offs, which culminated in a World Cup where you had all the countries coming under one roof, playing each other to determine who was the best in the world. And now it's about the leagues and which league is the best in the world and can garner that much attention, viewership, star cricketer presence, and sustain itself in the long run in the world that in a few years as we go by. Cricket as a sport, of course, has transformed. Cricketers are paid much more here in IPL than anywhere else. And that's only logical. And recently, two Australian cricketers, Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc, went for big bucks at the auction in December last year. They were two of the most expensive buys in the history of IPL. So it isn't surprising that the Australians, the key players of the national side that is about to, of course, play the T20 World Cup, including Starc, Cummins, Travis Head, to name a few, have stayed back to play the remaining IPL despite a World Cup days away and warm-up matches all lined up. The Aussies are going to directly appear on the tournament opener on the 6th of June against Oman. The franchises have paid millions for the players, and they feel the presence is key for the fortunes of their side. But contrastingly, England players were firmly asked to leave a week earlier to get their preparations going for the World Cup, which left some commentators, like former India captain Sunil Gavaskar, fuming.
I am all for players choosing country before anything else, but having assured various franchisees about their availability for the full season, it will be letting down the franchisees if they pull out now. The franchisees should not only be allowed to deduct a substantial amount from the fee that the player was bought for, but also not give the board, to which the player belongs, the stated 10% commission of the fee that each player gets.
England players, he says, had no business ditching their franchises. There was a few other commentators who made the same comment. When they are being paid for a full season, they ought to be there. There were many of them who left their franchises in crucial stages, like Joss Buttler, Will Jacks, Moeen Ali, Johnny Bairstow, Liam Livingstone, of course, to name some of them. England are defending champions of the T20 World Cup. They were defending champions of the ODI World Cup, and we saw how that panned out for them. But the buzz or noise is owing to all of this. Is IPL clearly a bigger deal than the T20 World Cup? I'll show you some more numbers. What I will show you are from some years ago, yes, but they tell a very significant story. Both IPL and the T20 World Cup, in fact, came about the same time. The first IPL edition was in 2008, the first T20 World Cup a year earlier in 2007. IPL had an overall rating of 4.81%, that's the TVR. The T20 World Cup, an overall rating of 2.37%. India's group matches and their Super 8 clashes, which were the knockouts, showed a rating of 4.8%. This is, of course, barring the final. The final was much higher. While the league matches in IPL 2008 got a TVR of 4.6%, and it was as high the next year too. In fact, a tad higher than that. A T20 World Cup that India won, that saw MS Dhoni making it and creating magic for the first time in the world, still had an overall viewership that was lesser than an inaugural IPL edition, which saw Rajasthan lift the title. Sure, it's many years earlier, but the dynamics of the IPL's evolution hasn't changed. It hasn't diminished. It's only magnified and grown, whether it's in terms of worth or the money the players earn or the stature itself of the league, which is why the question is IPL a much bigger event. A T20 World Cup that is happening in USA for the first time, in fact, has all India matches at 8 p.m. India time, IST. So the viewership remains intact. No wonder there is an India versus Pakistan as well in there. World Cups need TRPs, need rating points, and World Cups need India versus Pakistan. Viewership is big in tournaments like the World Cup, and that's only driven by an Indian cricket team, by Indian viewership, which is why an IPL then is like every match is an India match. You've got Indian players there featuring and stars of them in every franchise. With the clamour for making IPL bigger and more robust, there is also a clamour for getting a dedicated window for this, a window which doesn't interfere with any of the other national commitments. Are we seeing a whole different evolution of cricket in itself? Bilateral series now reducing. Is it just a matter of leagues now and a few World Cups in between? That reality doesn't look too far-fetched now. The Kylian Mbappe and Real Madrid saga has been on for years now. Two giants who want to get together, but the controversy around them doesn't seem to end. While Mbappe may have fired a few shots earlier in the years that preceded this moment, it feels like Real Madrid are trying to give it back to not just the footballer, but France too. Mbappe hasn't officially joined Madrid yet and is expected to make the move after France's Euro campaign. But even before joining the Spanish giants, Madrid has already thrown a spanner in the works, playing party pooper in Kylian Mbappe's life. The Olympics are starting on the 26th of July in Paris. It's the world's biggest sporting event. It is in Mbappe's home. Obviously, you would expect Mbappe to play for France, but reports suggest Real Madrid is stubborn and will not let any of their players, especially Mbappe, off to feature in one of the most spectacular events in the world, the Olympics. Now, I understand Olympics isn't a tournament that's sanctioned by FIFA, which is football's governing body. But here's the thing, Olympics is every sports person's first dream. Winning a gold medal is the ambition of every sports player growing up. And if you are the captain of your country's football team at 25, 26, it's magical. So obviously, Mbappe feels no different.
Olympics? Everyone knows what I want to do. I think we need to let things happen. I'll be happy no matter what decision is made. Olympics in Paris is special. When I know more, I'll talk about it. But right now, I have no idea. It's not up to me. When I'm sent a message, I'll be there to receive it.
Well, that's what he last spoke when asked about the Olympics. Being a flag bearer for his country would be brilliant. That's what he said. It'd be an amazing experience. Mbappe clearly wants to represent France at the Olympics. Not just him, the president of his country, Emmanuel Macron, wants him too.
What do you think of Mbappe's departure to Real Madrid? I do not have a particular comment except that I am counting on Real Madrid to release Kylian for the Olympic Games, so that he can come and play with the France team, a few weeks after winning the Champions League with PSG and the European Championship with the France national team.
Macron needs Mbappe at the Olympics. That is obvious when there is already so much negative publicity that is doing the rounds around the games. If you have a player like Mbappe, you would want him front and center to play at the world's biggest event, not for glory alone, but because Mbappe is a crowd puller. He's the face, their biggest sporting hero. He needs to be there to lead the contingent, right in the front. The president wants him, the country wants him. That wax statue of his, which was unveiled at Madame Tussauds just a week ago, has Kylian Mbappe wearing the French jersey, shining and proud French footballer in all his glory. Well, he's all smiles there, but pretty much like that wax statue right now, Mbappe seems to be stuck, frozen solid between a rock and a hard place. He hasn't joined Real Madrid just yet, but it's just a signature across the dotted line that remains. In effect, he already belongs to Real Madrid. That's the impression we get. The club is very firmly calling all the shots even before he's shot a goal for them. While the world thinks that Olympics is the mega event, Real Madrid could care less. They think, who needs a shiny gold medal when you can have a Galactico on your books? For the Real Madrid boss, this is business. Their biggest signing is Kylian Mbappe. They have spent money on him and he needs to do as he's told. when there is a club commitment on the line and there is bigger politics at play here as well. Reports of Real Madrid not allowing Mbappe to take part in the Paris Olympics came after French President Macron and Real Madrid President Perez met on the sidelines of an event to celebrate FIFA's 120th anniversary. That happened just some days ago. And we all know how much Macron wants Mbappe to play for France. They met, they talked, and clearly nothing's come of it. We're sure Macron would have mentioned Olympics, a big deal that for him and his country, not so much for Perez, the man who's helmed the Galacticos from its glory days. His big concern is his key players picking up injuries. The squad already has a host of star players, of course, and Jude Bellingham, Vinicius, Thibaut Courtois, and Mbappe hasn't joined them yet. Clearly, Perez is holding his cards close to his chest and playing this the way he wants to, so that he can control the outcome the way he wants to. There would be grudge from the past year too, where President Macron had backed Mbappe and urged him to stay back at PSG, at Paris Saint-Germain, the French club, instead of moving to Real Madrid the previous occasions. So Mbappe seems to be stuck right in the middle of a high-stakes game. A skirmish of sorts. Shouldn't the player be given the decision to make? Take Tottenham, for example. Heung-min Son was allowed to participate in the AFC Asian qualifier despite Tottenham being at a crucial stage in the Premier League. In the IPL too, as we know, we saw key England players leaving the league to get together with their squad before the T20 World Cup. The club haven't held them back. It's a decision made by the players and their associations. Real Madrid, calling the shots here, demanding Mbappe's time, makes me ask, where should the line be drawn? Because we asked similar questions when the IPL, the Indian Premier League Lucknow franchise owner Sanjeev Goenka was seen schooling KL Rahul, his captain, after a loss, right there on the field for all to see, even before he had caught his breath. How much ownership can a team boss truly have and display despite spending the big bucks? Yes, there is money riding on every player, but this is the Olympics. It doesn't come every year. It's something every player grows up dreaming to be a part of. Does Perez need Mbappe to pay for his price tag by giving up on his dreams? Chess world number one, Magnus Carlsen, is ruling all chess talks. He's on a winning spree. Format doesn't count, and anything he says is news. Like when he mentioned he would be surprised if an Indian won the candidates tournament. He was proved wrong that one time, but other than that, of course, by none other than India's Gukesh, who became the youngest chess prodigy to clinch this title. And to give him some credit, Magnus Carlsen, he did acknowledge this in the most humbled manner. Then, of course, ahead of the Blitz and Rapid chess tournament, he said he would teach the kids a thing or two. He went ahead and did that. And I have to hand it to Carlsen. He's been making all the moves with his comments and statements and also on the chessboard. This time, though, the one thing that has caught everyone's attention is his thoughts on the champion that is waiting to take on Gukesh. And he's waiting rather quietly. China's Ding Liren has been rather silently waiting his turn to shine, his turn to switch the narrative his way. It's been rather a roller coaster ride for Ding Liren. After tasting victory as a world champion in April last year, he's faced a string of setbacks. While he has only featured at 4 tournaments since his great triumph, he's also had a rather disappointing campaign in every one of them. Ding Liren finished 8th at the Superbet Classic in Romania, and after that, he refrained from taking part in the tournaments due to health issues. And then, of course, he made a comeback early in January at the Tata Steel Chess, but he only managed to win 2 out of 13 games. And at the Freestyle Chess Challenge in February, he lost 10 games out of 13 that he played, and the remaining 3 ended in draws, leaving fans wondering if he's lost that edge, and of course prompting Magnus Carlsen to say this.
The question is whether he is sort of permanently broken from the last World Championship that he played, and I'm not sure, but I think there is a possibility that he could.
This is, of course, in the podcast hosted by Odin Blikra and Askild Bryan. He says Liren is broken. But Liren was rather witty and cool to give it right back, saying he's fixing it. There is immense pressure on these chess grandmasters, and obviously more so on world champion Ding Liren, with the Norway chess tournament, of course, around the corner. Maybe the key thing for him is just to turn the tide and not look at the end result just yet.
Maybe I became weaker in chess, not as strong as before, maybe 2 years ago. This year also my performances did not go well. I spent more time resting rather than playing chess. Norway chess will be a totally new challenge for me. There will be many strong players competing. My aim is not to finish in the last place.
He's at least seeing the lighter side of this, but a world champion saying that he intends to not finish last pretty much sums up the rough patch Liren is going through. And in the middle of this slump is when Gukesh started making waves. Liren will face Gukesh in the World Championship final to defend his title. While the dates and venue haven't been announced yet, it's expected to take place somewhere between November and December. And Liren is much excited to face someone he says is a reflection of his own younger self.
I have a very good score against Gukesh. I beat him twice in Vaikanze with black pieces. But in November, he'll be a new player and not the same from Vaikanze. It will be a new challenge for me. Sometimes I see him as a version of me, and we do share similarities between our playing style and characters.
The face-off that is most anticipated is still a while away, yes, but as he enters the Norway chess tournament, ranked 7th, facing him and whom he would have to take on are world number 1 Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, the second ranked player, Hikaru Nakamura, the world number 3, and India's prodigy, Pragyananda. He'll be competing against these challengers, and clearly it'll show where Ding Liren stands in his recovery stage. The stakes have never been higher, and while Liren claims that he's getting better, he still has the task of reclaiming his throne and silencing his critics. Now, United States of America is a sporting giant when it comes to league-based sport, of course, like the NFL, the MLB, MLS, or the NBA. They dominate Olympics. They have superstar athletes. The one sport you can't quite associate with them, though, is cricket. That's left them stumped for decades now. Or do you think this week the USA cricket tournament did something special? Team USA beat Bangladesh, an established cricketing nation, back-to-back in a T20 series. The 19th ranked side has clinched a T20 international series against the 9th ranked Bangladesh. With the T20 World Cup set to be co-hosted by the United States and the West Indies next month, is this the perfect curtain raiser to cricket's expansion in the Americas, as T20 cricket leveled the playing field?
Cricket in the Americas was majorly famous through the Caribbean islands, and the West Indies is a symbol of that. The old West Indies team that were the powerhouse of the sport from the early 70s to the late 90s, or the two-time T20 World Cup champion side that had flamboyant cricketers like Chris Gayle, Darren Sammy, Kieran Pollard and others. But the expansion of the sport, getting it across to the United States, had never materialized. An attempt was made with an exhibition T20 series in New York in 2015 between Sachin Tendulkar's team and Shane Warne's men. That fizzled out just as fast as it came. The biggest move now is the T20 World Cup set to take place in the Americas next month. If you thought the buzz is missing with all the pomp and show being taken up by the IPL, then just take a look at Team USA. They have stunned Bangladesh, a seasoned cricket side, not once but twice in a T20 series in the lead-up to the World Cup. A team once relegated to the sidelines are now stepping onto the world stage with a fervour that's impossible to ignore. And in both the games, the United States showed different skill sets to prove their victory was no flash in the pan. In the second T20 match, the US showed what a tight bowling unit they possess. After posting 144 runs on the board, quite an average score by the current T20 standards, the pace bowling duo of Ali Khan and Shadley Van Schalkwyk bowled Bangladesh out for 138 runs, beating them by the narrowest of margins, 6 runs, to clinch the series. And in the first match, it was their batting that came to the fore. Despite being 94 for 5 in 15 overs, former Kiwi player Corey Anderson and former India under-19 player Harmeet Singh staged a super comeback for the US. They stitched a 62-run stand for the 6th wicket to take US home. So clearly the rise of T20 cricket has been a game changer for smaller cricketing nations. It's provided them with a platform to showcase their skills and compete against the best in the world. The US played their first ODI match in 2004, but they haven't been a regular feature in international fixtures. Cricket has pretty much remained an amateur sport in the US. The focus was still baseball. And the sport took a hit when the ICC suspended the USA Cricket Association in 2015. ICC expressed concerns about their finances and their governance. The national team could still compete, but the funding from the ICC for the growth of the sport came to a grinding halt. It was only in 2019 that a new sanctioning body known as USA Cricket was officially admitted by the ICC as a fresh associate member. Which is why the T20 World Cup coming up is extremely crucial for the country. But cricket's growth here isn't just about the game growing, it's about the stories it inspires, the dreams it ignites, and the bonds it creates. Many of the players playing in the squad have either Indian or Pakistani roots. Some of them are former international players who have played for other countries, like Corey Anderson. He represented New Zealand in 97 international matches. Or Harmeet Singh, who played for India under-19 before making his move to the States. And several other players like Monank Patel, Saurabh Netravalkar, Ali Khan. Much like the country, the USA cricket team is a multi-diverse melting pot of international players. They made their move to the States to fulfill their cricketing ambitions and find an opportunity to live their cricketing dreams outside of their native country. But with cricket's rise, is it really changing the native US audience? Are the locals as excited and involved in cricket coming home?
I don't know why people are excited, because it's not like going to the US and going to the, the actual Americans who've never seen cricket before, or, it will be all the Indian and the Asian and the cricketing countries diaspora that will be watching cricket. So it's not like it's going to US, where you see, the Americans who have followed basketball or American football and baseball will be suddenly the audience for a cricket match.
Maybe this is what sports fans in the USA need. Their own cricket team making all the right noises ahead of their home World Cup. And with the evolution of cricket in the T20 format and the game constantly changing, one thing is clear, it's a great leveler. No team is a giant and no side is an underdog, and USA will want to prove just that.
Time for last serve. The buzz around Olympics continues. Paris has unveiled the podiums for the games. The mascots had a fun time at the reveal. The podiums serving an eco-friendly message as well. Take a look. That does it here on Firstpost. Thanks for joining in. I'll see you again after this weekend. Take care. See you on Monday.